has Trent Walker figured out to get him to the role of a number one receiver?
I think there's a combination of detail. He's been here for a while. He's seen really good players and how they prepare off the field. He's smart enough to improve. I think he takes the coaching from myself, but also veteran players who've helped him, I think, along the way, and opportunity.
Why hasn't a number two receiver evolved this season? What is holding that part of the offense back?
I think we got two. I think Taz and Darius both. I think they both deserve to play, so they play. I think if one of them had to play more plays, they could. That's not really an indictment on one of them as much as it is, hey, they both deserve to play, so they play. So I would say we have a number two receiver.
But what do you measure? What do you measure a receiver? How do you measure how they're doing out there?
Just assignment-wise. I mean, every play's got an assignment, a specific assignment that you either do or you don't. Productivity, right? When you have an opportunity to make a play, do you make more than you don't? And then ultimately it's trust, right? Does the quarterback trust you? Does the coordinator trust you? Do I trust you? Do your teammates trust you? I think it's a combination of all that.
At some point, though, you like them to block and do all the things you want receivers to do in your run. But at some point, they need to catch some balls too. What's holding those guys back? Because you haven't really seen a guy break out and become that number two guy in that realm.
I just think it's about opportunities. I mean, how many targets are you getting? It's all relative to how many targets you get. Receiver, you can't throw yourself the ball. You can't call your own plays. You just got to wait for your opportunities. I think both those guys, relative to their targets, have made plays when they had a chance to. Obviously, there's more to make. I think everybody that's ever played football would tell you that. But I don't think it's a lack of anything they're doing. It's just a matter of, hey, do I get 3 targets a game, and are they catchable balls? And if not, was it me or was it something else? And that all factors in.
I mean, when you watch video, are you seeing guys are they getting open?
Yeah. Relatively. I mean, yeah, I think, like I said, every receiver on earth will tell you that there's moments where I can do this better to create more space, but I don't see a lack of separation as an issue when I watch the tape.
Yeah.
Kind of 2/3 of the way through this year, what's been your biggest takeaway with your group of pass catchers?
It's a younger group, but I think, every rep, every snap, every opportunity they get, they grow from it. I appreciate the group because I think those dudes are really playing better than I probably thought going into it. I think we got a good group that, if it stays together for the next couple of years, will be really good. And I think they've made the most of the opportunities they've been given. So.
You said they're playing better than you maybe thought they would. Like, what specifically, what areas have they exceeded expectations in?
Well, I guess just none of them had played much. So I had, I guess I didn't have much expectation at all, It's not my job to put a ceiling on players, and so I was just kind of waiting to see who would emerge, who would take advantage of the opportunities. They were all recruited here to play football, and so, I hope and expect for them to come up and make plays when they get the opportunity to. But the reality is there wasn't much on tape going into this season, and so I think guys have stepped up and made plays, and they're still growing, and there's more plays to make. But I'm happy with the group.
Compared to other positions, where does experience matter at receiver?
Well, I think it matters at every position. I don't know that there's a position on the football field that experience doesn't help you. I just think the speed of the game, just confidence. You tell a freshman something, you tell a senior something, they hear it differently. And why that is, I don't know, right? It's just like parenting. You tell your older kids something, they hear it a little different than the younger kids. But I think experience is a calming factor for players. I just think that's in general in life, right? I'm a better coach 20 years into it than I was 20 years ago, and I think that's solely because of experience.
I was just curious because it's been said often that cornerbacks and running backs, freshmen, those positions tend to see more freshmen play than others. There's a receiver where
I think that's more of a physical thing, right? I think as a lineman, there's some grown man element to that. Yeah. Your fifth-year seniors are bigger, faster, stronger human beings than your 18-year-olds coming into high school. Whereas receivers, skill players, it's less the physical part of it. Speed is speed. You're playing wider. You're not in the trenches. So I do think there's an element, but I think that's more physical than anything.
Yeah.
In terms of this season's development and future trajectory, if you had to buy stock in one guy in your room, who would that be right now?
I think all the young guys, like Taz is a redshirt freshman. I think he's got a high ceiling. I think Trent Walker on paper has got one, but I think he could maybe have two because he missed a year. I think he's going to get better and better. I think all those young guys. I mean, I don't know. I feel good about all those guys. To pick one over the other, who knows what that's going to look like in 3 years, to be honest.
For sure.
Darius was obviously slowed down by the injury early in the year, but like, where is he just in kind of in terms of development right now, and what do you think is still to come for him?
Yeah, I think Darius has got room to grow. You know, he missed a lot of football. I mean, he really went almost a calendar year without playing football. And so he's doing well. He's picking it up. He's playing faster. I think he's improving. I think he's got a lot of upside still too, you know, because he hadn't played a lot of football to this point. And so he's got some physical talent, obviously. He's a smart kid. He wants to be good. And so I do see improvement there as well. And so, you know, I would count him as well. When you mentioned, you know, whose stock would you invest in? I think he's a guy who's only going to trend up. So, yeah, I'm happy with his development.
During kind of the last month of the season, like what do you still want to see from him? Like what is if you
just improvement? You know, he's like any other player. Like I want to see guys improve. You should be better for every experience and opportunity you get in life. You should be better for it. That's football. That's anything, right? The more you do it, the better you should be at it. And so I just want to see those guys improve. Every opportunity they get, they should improve. There's mistakes that are going to get made. Don't repeat them. And let's improve, and that myself included. I think just as a human being, right? That's the goal. This is to be better for every day we live. So,
when you're dealing with a potential quarterback change, do you kind of change maybe who's out there on the field as a receiver just for chemistry reasons with that guy? Or?
I don't. I mean, as long as the ball's the same size and it's the same ball, like I don't put too much stock in that. We throw with all those guys. We got confidence in whoever's throwing it. I think you got to have confidence in yourself as a player that you're going to help that guy throwing it be a better player because of who you are. And so, no, we don't. That would be, you know, I think anytime you're in this world, that's not a good world to be in as a football player. Just what's the play? What's my job? There's the ball. Go catch it. Right.
What would you point to if somebody said, why is this group better today than it was, say, 2 months ago? What would you look at and say why they are?
I think reps and the awareness to be open to coaching. You know, I think reps, obviously, the more you do something, the better you'll get at it. But I also think you got to be receptive to somebody telling you, hey, that's not the way we want it done. You got to do it this way. Because reps don't matter if you don't take the feedback, good or bad. Yeah. And so I would say it's a combination of that. Guys are getting opportunities, and when they don't do it quite the right way, they're really hungry and seeking some wisdom. You know, hey, why did it not work this way? Or, hey, I saw Isaiah Hodgins do this, you know, when we were watching the tape of it. Why did he do it that way? Because that's not what you said, you know. Because, again, at the end of the day, these guys got to play the game. And so there's one way to do it, but there's a lot of ways to do it and be successful at it. And every receiver is going to have a different style about them. And so it's about finding your style, and I think reps allow you to do that as a receiver. And then ultimately it's confidence, knowing that, hey, this is my style and this is how I'm going to win, and it's going to be different. Your style is going to be different than my style. But at the end of the day, it's about winning and being, you know, quarterback friendly and playing well.
How would you describe Taz's style?
I think Taz plays really, really, really hard, right? Like he can run all day. He's an aggressive route runner. I think he's a fairly physical receiver in that he'll catch the ball in traffic. He'll put his body on the line. He's got some speed. To me, he plays almost like he's 6'5", 250. Like the dude, you know, he'll run in traffic. I think he's a really smart player, doesn't repeat a lot of mistakes, cares about the why and the how come when you're installing and teaching plays, which I appreciate. So no, and I think he was a guy who didn't really do anything his first year because he was beat up, he was hurt, and so he's been awesome. Just being able to see him play fast and be the person that he ultimately is has been awesome. And he was recruited here because of his skill set, and it sucked last year because nobody saw it. But I'm excited that he's taken steps and becoming the player that we all thought he would be.
In a receiver room with, you know, two program veterans in Trent and Jeremiah, and then a guy with a big recruiting profile in Darius, what's it really taken for Taz to get on the field as much as he has this season?
Trust, right, and doing your job and doing it well. You know, nobody's playing. This isn't, you know, Little League. Like, we're not putting dudes on the field just to, you know, there's no fifth quarter. Guys earn the opportunities to play, and so he earned his opportunity to play because he was one of the better guys in fall camp. He was consistent. He made a lot of plays. And I just think it's obvious. If you watch practices, you'll know who the guys are that deserve to play if you're being honest about it. Like, he jumped off the tape. I think anybody defensively, special teams, coaching, they'll tell you he had a really good fall camp. And so it wasn't hard to make that, you know, to make that choice to put the kid on the field. Because again, I don't care about recruiting profiles. Everybody here was recruited to play here. And once you get here, I don't care what means you got here, whether you were a 5-star recruit, whether you were a walk-on. It doesn't serve me to care about that. It doesn't. When they get in my room, they're all receivers for Oregon State, and I'm going to coach them all the same, and I'm going to coach the 15th guy the same way I coached the first guy. And sometimes when you give the 15th guy that much attention and that opportunity, he becomes the first guy, right? And so, again, it's not my job to put a ceiling on a player. My job is to coach you like I want you to be the best player you can be, and then the rest is on you. And so that's just my philosophy on it, and it'll never change. And so, I don't care what means they get here. I'm going to coach them all with the expectation that they take to it and become the best players they can be.
All right, last question.
Maybe getting really into the weeds here, but when you're out on the road recruiting, like, what traits do you look for in a receiver in that sense?
That's a good question. Can he catch the ball with his hands? I like multiple sport athletes. I really love basketball players because I think if you can get open on a basketball court, you can get open versus press coverage. You know, I like competitive people. I like people that kind of have a chip on their shoulder for whatever reason, right? I don't care what the chip is, but as long as you got one, when it gets really hard, I know you're not going to quit, right? And I just think that's what I look for in people, right? Do you have something that keeps you coming back every day even when it gets really hard? And so those things would be kind of the traits I look for. And some of that you don't see on the football field. You got to dig deeper.